were slightly fewer deeds and mortgages recorded at the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds in 2011 as compared to 2010. But the most notable part of 2010 was the drop in foreclosure deeds and notices. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds for Plymouth County. Welcome to the Register's Report. This is our monthly report on real estate activity within Plymouth County. The Registry of Deeds is the agency responsible for recording all documents related to real estate in the 27 communities of Plymouth County. Our main office is in Plymouth on Aubrey Street in front of the Plymouth Trial Court next to Jordan Hospital. We have a satellite office in Brockton at 155 West Elm Street, the former Brockton District Court building, and a satellite office in Rockland in the AAA Plaza across the street from Bella's Restaurant. We are responsible for recording deeds, making sure that they're preserved for the future, available online as images, and protecting people's property rights for decades and generations to come. We scan the documents, we microfilm them, and we create an index system so that people can follow in what has happened with their documents and with the ownership of their property over the years. So this report is a report done in January on the December activity within the Registry of Deeds. In December 2011, there were 669 deeds recorded in the registry compared to 557 deeds recorded in November. It is also up 7% from the 624 deeds recorded in December 2010. However, over the year, we're down 5% compared to the number of deeds recorded in 2010. The gap has been closing each month. We had a very busy last 6 months of 2011. Originally in June, for example, we were down 18% comparing year to date. At the end of the year, we were down 5%. Clearly, the marketplace has been more responsive over the last 6 months of 2011 than at the beginning. In terms of mortgages recorded for 2011, we recorded 2,373 mortgages in December. It's down slightly from the 2,405 mortgages in November. We have incredibly low interest rates, historically low interest rates. However, there are many people whose property is what is called underwater. There's some new plans coming forward under the Home Affordable Refinance Program that individuals such as that might be able to refinance and take lower rates. Over the course of the year, we were down 11% for the number of mortgages recorded. We always talk about in this show very significant impact upon the Plymouth County real estate market, the number of foreclosure deeds and foreclosure notices that have been brought about by the decline in the real estate market and problems in the real estate market. We also have on the screen a report for December by community that will show up the number of foreclosure deeds and notices by each community in Plymouth County. In this particular month, there were more foreclosure deeds recorded in the town of Plymouth than any other community. Brockton was closely behind, and Wareham, which has traditionally been third, was the third highest number of foreclosure deeds. And there were also a significant number of what we call orders of notice, the documents that are recorded that show a property that is heading into foreclosure unless something can be resolved. I always like to tell people, make sure that you take quick action if you find yourself in trouble. There are numerous agencies out there in Plymouth County, from Neighborhood Housing Services in Brockton, from the Plymouth Redevelopment Authority in Plymouth, South Shore Housing, places like the Marshfield Housing Partnership or the Carver Housing Partnership that try to help people either modify their loan or work on a short sale. We'll be getting into a little more detail about short sales in my second segment of the show this month. But the bottom line is you really have to be aggressive and proactive if you're going to help solve the problem that you might be into for loss of income or the fact that payments have just been really difficult to make. Foreclosure deeds in December were 74 in number compared to 78 recorded in November. That is up 23% from the foreclosure deeds recorded in December 2010. However, as I mentioned earlier, down significantly for the year 2010 by about 28%. In foreclosure notices, there were 138 foreclosure notices recorded in December. That was compared to 172 foreclosure notices in November. This December numbers, unfortunately, were significantly higher than December 2010 foreclosure notices, and that is something that we really have to be concerned about as we enter the new year in 2012. However, looking back in 2011, they were down 30% as compared to number of foreclosure notices recorded in 2010. We always try to talk a little bit about very significant stories that have affected the real estate market over the past month. Obviously, our end-of-year numbers that we're reporting today was our lead story as far as the registry is concerned. The fact that deeds were down 5% over the year, mortgages were down 11% over the year, foreclosure deeds were down 28%, and foreclosure notices were down 30%. We try to track those results in real numbers. Those documents end up being taken out by a company like Bankers and Tradesmen and brought forward. Our documents in our reports are based upon the real numbers of recording at the Registry of Deeds. So the drop in foreclosures and notices were a significant story in 2011. Another significant issue that came forward was a lawsuit brought by Attorney General Martha Coakley, who announced the filing of a major lawsuit against national lenders for a variety of issues: questions on robo-signing, questions on failure to file assignments. That suit was brought against 5 lenders, 5 major national lenders, for unfair and deceptive business practices, for the practice of robo-signing, where somebody signs somebody else's name to a document that they should have totally reviewed and not without looking at the possibility of allowing a modification. Failure to file assignments. An assignment is a document that should be filed at the Registry of Deeds so individuals can track their ownership of their mortgages. Many people know that their mortgages are sold shortly after they purchase the mortgage and have the mortgage recorded on the purchase of a home. And the ability to track who currently owns that mortgage in a public record system is very important, and that was part of the lawsuit. And there was another point brought up in that lawsuit: failure to make good efforts to modify loans. And that's something that will be ongoing and watched very closely over the next couple months. In terms of some other news, there's been some modifications to the Home Affordable Modification Program, modifications to the Home Affordable Refinance Program. Many of the major lenders have agreed that they will work with people whose properties are underwater to try to refinance them. I would ask you to go on to a website called makinghomeaffordable.com that you can explore whether you qualify in those programs and the criteria that you would need to meet. There was a significant change in the homestead law over the course of 2011. You can see that on our website at www.plymouthdeeds.org. There have been significant changes of trying to make more people available to record homesteads to protect their property against outside creditors. Again, there's information about that on our website. There was an automatic homestead put in the new law for anyone that purchases property, and it was also extended to mobile homes, which prior to this time had to record their homesteads at local town halls. There was a change in recording legislation in 2011 so that it is much clearer when a document is deemed recorded. It is deemed recorded when there's a book and page number assigned to it at the recording counter, or a certificate number if it's in land court. A very positive consumer movement forward by the state legislature, as well as the homestead changes that were brought forward by the legislature and the governor, that definitely protects people's homes. There was an office of consumer counseling, an agency that has brought forward the ability to go to this website, and if you believe that your foreclosed property was inappropriately handled in 2009 or 2010, you can go online and check that issue out. If you believe you've suffered financial injury as a result of errors in a foreclosure in your home, the Office of Comptroller of the Currency lets you do an independent review of that. And if you go to online to the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, OCC, a division of the United States Department of the Treasury, you can find out whether you're, after their review, that they found inappropriate action and there can be relief that you would find coming forward. In our next segment, which we'll be coming back to, I have a guest by the name of Brian Mullen. Brian is a realtor in Plymouth with options 153, Mullins and Partners. He's an expert in short sales. Short sales is one avenue that people can go through to get out from under their home, out from under their mortgage, without any long-term liability. It many times is a great option for people that are no longer able to sustain their ownership. So we'll be coming back with that segment of the program. Thank you very much for watching the Register's Report. Welcome back to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds for Plymouth County. And in this section of the Register's Report, we always try to do something educational in nature. And my guest on this show this month is Brian Mullen, a real estate agent with options 153, which he founded. Mullins and Partners is the name of the company, and it's based in Plymouth. Welcome, Brian.
How you doing?
Great. One of the things we want to talk about is short sales. We've talked a lot in this program in the past about what's going on in the marketplace for sales and mortgages. Clearly, we're still in a distressed marketplace. And I know I've had John Graham on before, an attorney from Plymouth that you do a lot of work with, but I know this is something that you've spent a lot of time on.
Yes.
But why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into a little bit about short sales.
Okay, well, I've been in real estate 17 years, seeing a lot of difference. When I first got into real estate, I could probably tell someone what their house was going to go for within $3,000. It was much different. You had a 3-bedroom cape, it sold for this. Times have changed though, and the short sales and the foreclosures have, the market going through the roof messed everything up. But people were enjoying it, but now all of a sudden, because of the bad loans and stuff, now we're in a little bit of trouble, and that's what the problem is now, is the short sales and the foreclosures, which are affecting value. Some say bringing it down to where it should be anyway, so it's all going to work itself out, but short sales are a big part of it right now.
Yeah, we do report every month on the number of foreclosures for each of the 27 communities in Plymouth County. Clearly, there are modifications that are available for people if they talk to their housing counselor, neighborhood housing services here in Brockton, the Plymouth Redevelopment Authority, South Shore Housing, Marshfield Housing Authority, and Carver Housing Partnership are examples of that. But there are certain situations when somebody is better off to get out from under the pressure and the likelihood of a foreclosure and selling the property with the approval of the lender and not having the situation linger. Do you want to just talk about your experiences with short sales?
No, absolutely. I think a lot of the sellers today, they're going through so much stress because, we all, no matter what, we seem to be 1 month away, from not being able to pay our mortgage. So the stress involved in that, the money, everything seems to be a mortgage payment these days, whether it be electricity, gas, food. So you're really dealing with about 5 or 6 mortgage payments every year. But really, everybody wants to pay their bills. They all want to sit there and say, you know what, I pay my bills, that's what I do. They're not able to survive, to be able to put heat in their house, put food on the table. So they fall into that, and the stress is unbelievable. So that's why usually, right now, it seems 1 out of every 5 appointments I go on is a short sale situation, with maybe a couple more being right there. Short sales, obviously, you owe more than your house is going to sell for. So I always recommend that rather than going to the foreclosure route, because nobody wants to be in foreclosure. There's a lot of different things that'll help you going through a short sale, more than that. But actually, it'll just help your stress, where you just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to try to sell it. Whatever it sells for, that's not me. That's the market.
Yeah, in other parts of the show and in previous shows, We've talked about the possible ability to modify your mortgage. We've talked about the new program coming out under the Home Affordable Refinance Program, that there might be, in certain circumstances, if you meet criteria, the ability to refinance even if you're underwater and take advantage of the low interest rates. That's not going to be a fit for everybody. But short sales has been talked about in a lot greater numbers here in Massachusetts and across the country. How would you typically enter into a relationship with a seller for a short sale?
Well, I try to encourage the sellers to call me to have any questions. We can meet and talk about a short sale. But a lot of the sellers don't know they're in a short sale situation. They still believe their house is worth $400,000 when it's actually $300,000.
Right.
So what usually happens is I'll go out to the house, I'll find out what their situation is. I will let them know what I think the house could sell for. Then the reality comes in where, you know what, well, we need $400,000 if we're going to pay a loan off. That's when I start discussing modifications, short sales, and I'll get into the short sales, and I'll give them some stories about sellers that I've had in the past, how it's helped them, and how it's really improved their living.
I know there's some relatively complicated legal issues with the short sale under the HAFA program, and Attorney Graham's been on talking about that before, and I'm sure we'll get him on at some point in the near future to talk about some of the changes that have occurred over the last year or so. But I think it's an opportunity for somebody that they ought to be aware of.
Sure.
And obviously it's not going away, this housing crisis. We saw a 30% drop in foreclosure deeds last year, and a similar drop in foreclosure notices, but it's going to continue.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, that's what we do, is we automatically see, we'll market the home, get the most money as possible for the home.
Right.
And counsel the seller too. That's what we do. But we put them together with the experts. Attorney Graham, that's who we use for short sales, and he can answer any questions and pick what route is good for them. I mean, we're still going to do our job as we go along, market the home, get the most money, but he deals with the banks and everything.
Now, what's the typical time? I know no situation individually is typical, from the time that you actually have contact with somebody in the short sale, gets approved, and you actually go to a closing and get it on record and take the homeowner out of the burden of...
Sure, yeah.
What's your typical time period, do you think?
Well, there's no typical time period, and that's the big thing. We actually created, at the office, we created a piece of paper addendum that we have the buyers sign and the agent sign, letting them know that there is no time frame. I mean, it could take 60 days or it could take a year. And that's the difference. I mean, there's two different parts of a short sale. There's the seller's end, and then there's the buyer's end. And they both involve a lot of stress. Once that seller decides to go for a short sale, the stress just leaves. I mean, he's finally just sat there and said, okay, that's fine. But then it begins on the buying end, because they keep on saying, when's it going to, as the days go by, as the months go by, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. The banks have lost a lot of money also. They'll say no to a $350,000 offer and then sell it 6 months later for $300,000.
Right.
So there's no rhyme or reason, and that's what the buyers have to understand, is that you don't know.
I think we've seen over the last year, because this has been with us for a couple of years now, the national lenders being a little more aware of their risk in holding property.
Yeah.
And, certainly if they take them over in a foreclosure and the home is vacant for a period of time, there's copper theft, there's all different things that go on with it. I have seen reports that short sales are becoming more and more accepted practices as they try to get out from under the burden that the banks have in terms of non-performing loans.
Yeah, they are happening more. They'd rather have a short sale, you would think, than foreclosure, and it seems to be going that route. But you're still dealing with basically a man behind a desk that has no, it doesn't matter to him one way or the other. He's not emotionally involved. So he goes through the process. I don't have too many short sales that don't close. So like you said, that's the route they're going these days.
So if there's somebody out there watching us on the show, and they're in this situation, what would be the first couple of things that they should be doing?
Well, the first thing is just give me a call. I can meet with them and I can go over what their situation is. I'll automatically put them together with Attorney Graham, and just go from there and tell them what I think the house should be put on the market for. Tell them the whole process of the short sale, how it goes, so they're aware of it. And just, like I said, counsel them a little bit and just make them understand that their life can be better if they just, if it gets to that point. If you're going one step forward and 3 steps back, and you do that. I've seen families torn apart. I've seen, arguments over money, over different things, and it ruins families. So rather than ruin a family, try to take that burden away, and everything just comes off. The weight comes off the shoulder.
Now, any other things on short sales you want to add?
Just, once again, it's difference between buyers and sellers, a whole different thing. The buyers just have to be patient. The sellers just have to understand that, and the other thing is, with a short sale, it won't cost the seller any money. So they don't have to pay the commission, they don't have to pay any fees, because they don't have any money to pay the mortgage anyway. So, so that concern about that, they don't have money to sell their house, it's not true. So they should just really give me a call, and I can discuss anything with them.
Right. We're all hopeful that 2012 is a stronger year in real estate than 2011. Any trends you see out there, and as a person on the street selling real estate, that you want to talk about?
Well, you always have the hope. My partner and I, Sally King is my partner at Options 153. We always, all of a sudden we see some things going on, and we get excited, and we think the market's going to. I don't see it really changing that much, only because this wacky world we live in. The whole world situation seems to be messed up financially. So I just think that we're in it for at least another year or two. I mean, real estate always will go up, but right now, I think you're bringing in a whole different aspect with the world economy, world affairs, everything.
Yeah, no, I think obviously, last few years in the housing market, it's gone from, problems generated by bad loans to economic situations in individual families. And who would have thought 10 or 20 years ago that what was happening in Spain or Germany or Greece would be affecting our real estate market as much as it does.
Yeah.
So, no, I appreciate you coming on. I think we covered a lot of ground, and again, we just try to make everyone understand what's going on in the marketplace and various options, and I hope we all have a good year.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, thank you.
Welcome back to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds for Plymouth County. I want to thank my guest, Brian Mullen, who was on this previous segment talking about short sales. The real estate market is still relatively distressed. We try to bring forward as much information as we can to our viewers and who might be in that kind of situation. It's not always rosy picture these days in housing, but we try to get people through these problems, and certainly over the next couple of years we'll bounce back to where we were previously, and it'll be a healthy marketplace again. But in this segment of the show, we try to do something a little lighter in nature. We talk about a couple of our notable land records, a thing we have developed at the registry relative to promoting the history of Plymouth County. We always try to tie some of the notable land records to the holiday of the month. This month, the month of January, being the Martin Luther King holiday, a celebration of equality among the races and promotion of civil rights. There have been some very historical developments in Plymouth County over the years that have led in part to some of the accomplishments. There is in Bridgewater Center, a home that is known as the Torrey House. It was the stop on the Underground Railroad. It's on the north side of Bridgewater Common. You'll see an image coming up that tells the story of this. That is a two-storied wooden building. It was owned by a Tory sympathizer, somebody that was sympathizing with the British regime prior to the Revolutionary War. Many years later, it was taken back by the Commonwealth because they were sympathizing with the British country of Britain during that time period. And later, it was used as an inn. And during the 1800s, it served as a public house. It was a stop as on the Underground Railroad. There are very famous slaves by the name of William and Ellen Crafts that stopped at that location on their way north. They were sheltered there in 1848 on their way north to Boston. There's quite a story that goes along with them. You'll see a little bit on the screen, but you can also go to our website, www.plymouthdeeds.org, and read the full story. A second location in Plymouth County that has a lot of history in the anti-slavery movement is Island Grove Park in Abington. It was a site of pre-Civil War abolitionist meetings. It is now a town of Abington recreation area, but many years ago, during the pre-Civil War activities relative to anti-slavery, individuals like William Lloyd Garrison and others came to Abington as with picnics. They were brought down by railroad from Boston, had thousands of people come into that park, and were a major part of the anti-slavery movement in Massachusetts and across the country. In 1912, in Island Grove Park, as part of Abington's bicentennial celebration, there was a bridge, memorial bridge, connecting Island Grove Park across the pond, and they also built an arch celebrating individuals that fought in the Civil War in Abington. As part of this program, we also talk about a famous plaque and monument. In this particular case, you're going to see an image of Memorial Arch, which is part of that bridge. Abington is celebrating its tricentennial year in 2012, and you're going to have a number of very significant events. But one of the things they're going to try to do is renovate that arch. You can see in the image that it's deteriorated over the years. At the top of the arch, there's an eagle. There's a clear dedication on the top of the arch to those individuals from the town of Abington that fought in the Civil War. There's some very famous bronze artwork for a soldier and a sailor on both sides of the arch as it goes up, and they intend to modify and rededicate that particular arch in September of 2012. There's a lot of history in Plymouth County. We try to bring it forward. A lot of history in our land records through volunteers and others that we do try to bring forward. So I want to thank Brockton Community Access Television for their time in putting together this show. Aaron T-Bolt in particular, along with our cameramen, for the great job they do. I also want to thank the many local access providers across Plymouth County that allows us to bring this information forward to the people of Plymouth County. We'll see you again this next month, and thank you for watching the Register's Report.
Every day, thousands of the Commonwealth's brave men and women are serving our country overseas, defending our way of life.
And that's why it's so important we support our returning veterans and their families.
We're proud of the fact that Massachusetts leads the nation in the number of programs and services we provide to our veterans.
Learn more about the benefits and services available to Massachusetts veterans and their families by visiting mass.gov/veterans.
And to all our veterans, thank you and welcome home.
Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking.
Viking. Red state. Blue state. Vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
Downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities, our families,
United.
Even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.